Hello everyone, welcome back to a new replay cast. Today we have in the top right spawning as the red Zerg player, Mr. Africa SC2 SoO, and in the bottom left, Raise Your Edge Gaming's Zest as the pink Protoss player. Not sure how or where this replay is from, but it was on my computer, and I was like, oh, this looks very spicy. As Zest, of course, recently getting second place at IM Katowice. Basically the last big international tournament that we had. Lost to Roach in the final, but did manage to beat Serral in the semi, so definitely has a good PVZ. Also managed to beat Rainer in the group stages. So someone to look out for when it comes to Protoss versus Zerg. SoO, on the other hand, someone that's always very, very stable in his result, his play. Sometimes a little bit wonky, a little bit weird. Overly aggressive perhaps even, but always a very solid player when it comes to his results. Always does well at almost every tournament he plays in. Now, Eternal Empire is one of those maps where you think, difficult to attack on, right? You got this big ramp, you got this little part, so initial 3 bases, very easy to defend. Relatively long map as well, which makes it hard for any kind of early game aggression or even mid game aggression to come out, unless it's with NYDUS from the Zerg. Zest did decide to block his opponent's natural. He did it by building a pylon at 13 supply rather than the regular 14 supply, then sending that probe across the map. This is a difference of about 5 minerals, I believe, from a regular 14 pylon, so he gives up a little bit of money for a faster probe. He also changed the build order a bit, as usually as a Protoss player, you do your chrono boost after your gateway starts. But if you play 13 pylon, you do it after you build your pylon and you have money. So a slight variation of build just to be able to block this natural. Now, this will cost SoO some money, as he will need to send drones to this base, which is a longer walk. So in the end, if you get the block off, it's almost always worth it for Protoss. It is a little tricky. Like there's a couple of different scout timings, which cost a lot of money. And this also, of course, costs some money for Zerg. So it's a trade-off for the Protoss, whether he wants to do it or not. A lot of the time when we see a build like this being used, it usually means it will be followed up by some early adept aggression, 1 or 2 adepts, sometimes even glaive adepts. In this case, we do see a stargate coming down as well from Zest, who opened with a fast warp gate. So this is actually a little bit of a mind game. And let me explain exactly why it is a mind game. Because there is a build right now that's very popular where you start with blocking the natural and then you go into Adept, into Stalker, and you get a Twilight and a Robo and 4 gates. And you make glaive adepts basically. Now what Zest is doing, he's showing the same information as you would show when you're playing that glaive build. You go Adept, Stalker, and you start Warp Gate the moment your Cybercore finishes. Now this basically just means that SoO right now is thinking, hey, I'm pretty sure this is a glaive build, and as a result he might skip spores, he might get a faster Roach warren, you need to get faster gases, perhaps even a faster layer, and we see Zest saving up some phoenixes at home. So if all those things happen, if we see a faster layer, if we see faster gases, faster Roach warren, that would be very good for Zest indeed. Now, because as you can see, the only information SoO has so far is anything he's seen in the wall, which is not a lot. Here we go. Roach warren gets started. Second gas gets started as well. And these are things you don't want against Stargate. Against Stargate, you want to delay your gases as much as possible, get as high a mineral income as possible, and obviously get spores in every base. So, very different opener here for SoO than he preferred. I would love if Zest actually waits a little bit longer here as well. If he waits for 1 more Phoenix, because then we might actually see some Roach production coming out of SoO. As the Roach run is about to finish up, I really would like that. Drones are being produced instead, as SoO does not see a move out. Oh, here are the Roaches. So the mind game that Zest just did worked absolutely perfect. Like, this is one of those mind games where if you're not aware of why it's happening, you might be wondering, hey, why the hell is SoO building 7 Roaches? Like there's a Stargate on the map. And this is all because he started his Warp Gate the moment his Cybernetics core finished. This is the only reason that SoO is playing like this. And because of the natural block. So that's 2 things that Zest shows. And then all of a sudden, hey, wait a second, there's Phoenixes. So even if Zest doesn't do any damage here with these Phoenixes, it's already worth it. He already paid for himself with these Phoenixes, basically. Like, fours are gonna get spores, spores are gonna get forced. Now the drone production resumes. Like, there's a bunch of roaches, which will do absolutely nothing. 7 roaches. Overlord will fall down as well. No, Transfuse will save it. How many Phoenixes are total? 5 Phoenixes. No more Phoenixes are on the way. Third base is on the way, as well as double battery. That's a lot of batteries. Zest is really playing it safe. And now the main base is completely empty, so a lot of drones will start falling down here as well. Layers about to finish, most likely for a Hydra then. And 3 extra gases are being built there. Ooh, NYDUS network. But then why all the extra gases, you might wonder? I'm not exactly sure why he's building 3 extra gases if he's playing NYDUS network. Most likely a Queen Roach all in. Another Queen falls, a couple of workers going down again. So SoO basically is like, alright, I don't see a way out of here because my early game is so bad. I'm gonna try for an all-in, try to blindside you, then hopefully be able to kill you. Recall of the 5 Phoenixes by Zest. Did not spot anything, honestly. I have no clue why he recalled there. Very, very confusing game so far. Especially for SoO. Oh! Zest does spot the NYDUS very quickly, already has 6 gas on the way. I was gonna say, he needs to cancel those. Needs to get extra cannons, needs to get extra batteries as soon as possible. I love that he's warping in Stalkers. Stalkers tend to do extremely well against Roaches, especially if there's no Roach speed. And there is no Roach speed here. Stalkers of course do extra damage to armor, so it's very nice to have them against these Roaches. Second NYDUS is on the way in a different location, but I honestly think even without a big immortal count, Zest has a pretty big army and he might just be able to stop this. He does need to move back to the batteries a little bit, because if you're fighting without the batteries, you're just gonna lose a lot of units for free. Yeah, right now Zest already dropped a couple of zealots, a couple of sentries have gone down, and finally he will be standing with these batteries. Is there a second immortal on the way? Yes, second immortal is on the way. There's still a couple of force fields there, Bile's raining down, but I mean, this army that SoO has here just doesn't look big enough to break 5 batteries, 2 immortals and this many stalkers. Don't forget there's still the Phoenixes as well, so the moment a lot of stuff gets cleaned up, the final fight, these Phoenixes can basically disable 5 units, but it might not even be necessary. You see Zest has a pretty clean micro here, hardly gets hit by Biles, and as I say it, he just stands in the middle of the next 3 Biles. Oh, hit by another Bile actually. Some good lifts here on the Queens, forces a couple of transfuses, third immortal joins the fray as well. For Zealot Warp, and this is a single pylon powering all of these batteries, but I mean at this point the batteries are practically empty as well. Charge is about to finish, which will definitely help with this fight. Good stutter step forward here by Zest, targeting down all of those Ravagers, and once the Ravagers fall, Immortals will rip through the Roaches and the Lynx as quick as they can. A couple of Biles going on, it's looking really, really bad for SoO right now, who has no real transition out of this, honestly. Even worker count, no upgrades behind this, no Roach speed even. And Zest completely pushes it back. Now the real question here, of course, for SoO is like, hey, what are you gonna do now, buddy? And it seems like this is a response that is very uncommon actually, where the Zerg will be like, alright, I'm just gonna pretend like I stopped the all-in and then I'm gonna continue the all-in, because if this gets scouted, if it gets scouted that you're still producing units, basically all TOS needs to do is add 2 batteries, 2 sentries, and continue unit production as they were. However, if TOS doesn't figure out what Zerg is doing, he might get a 4th base. Which is definitely not the way. Right now Zest, he sees the lack of gas at the 3rd base, which is a big indicator that this is still gonna keep going on. But Zest actually, instead of producing units, is adding more gateways. He is still adding that nexus. I think this is a mistake. I really do believe this is a mistake. I don't mind this wall, but what Zest really needs is just bigger unit production. He needs some extra sentries, maybe 1 or 2 extra batteries, a cannon or something of the sort. What he really doesn't need, he should not be defending this 4th base. That would be an error of judgment, I think. He should just be like, you know what, I don't give a crap about all your units here. Like, you're all-inning me. It's 3 base against 3 base. I'm up 10 workers. I'll cancel this. Ooh, forgets to cancel it, so loses some money there. Pylon finishes as well. That's 500 minerals that just get washed down the drain immediately. Now all of a sudden there's a pretty big Ravager count here. We don't have any extra batteries, we still have the initial batteries from before. Archons in this kind of fight actually not that useful, because they're just big targets for bios basically. The ideal way to play against is actually with Sentry, Zealot, Immortal. So you force field some units in, jump on top of them with your Zealots. You see, Zest really struggling with keeping these Archons alive, and right now they're just sucking the batteries empty basically. Another thing you can do is send the Archons across the map with a couple of Zealots to base trade. Seems weird in this situation, but might actually be worth it. We have a big engagement of Zest into this army, but there's so many units here for SoO that I'm not actually sure if this is going to be good enough. All of these Immortals extremely low. There is a Prism to help micro, and I mean 5 Immortals with +1 should be able to stand their ground, especially if they're backed up by this many batteries. And an Immortal goes down there, another Immortal goes down. Poor micro here coming out of Zest, but with his +1 upgrades and with the continuous Zealot warp, he might just be able to hold decent Prism micro finally coming out of Zest here. Big Ling reinforcement coming in here. 3 more Ravagers are being built. There's still 5 Queens as well. 1 transfuse on one of the Queens, or almost a transfuse on one of the Queens. 4 Immortals right now. Oh, the Prism micro by Zest isn't all that, honestly. Like, very slow with the pickups. Takes a lot of bile hits. Another Immortal goes down, and oh no, actually barely survives. Might be able to just survive. Just might be able to survive here. Good biles though, on top of the probes, on top of the Zealots as well. And we see SoO's supply is pretty decent. Double the army supply still, but his army consists of very little Ravagers. He needs a bigger Ravager count, and he needs something in front of it to tank those Lings, those Roaches. He just needs something there. I wouldn't mind seeing another Void Ray being built, as there's only a single Queen at this point. I mean, there's 3 Queens. Where are they? Are they in the... Ah, all of them are here. Maybe Void Ray not that useful. Because once again we have SoO moving forward. Oh, not more Archons. Archons are so useless in this situation. Biles being hit again and again and again. And the batteries are running empty actually. A little bit of energy left in this back battery, but that's basically it. There's 3 Immortals remaining at this point, and once those fall, that's basically the backbone of this army. So 3 Immortals left as a new one joins. We're gonna need to see some good pickup micro here out of Zest. But as he's busy microing all these Immortals, he's actually losing a lot of workers. I don't think you should be engaging into this with workers yet. 9 workers are going down, and for the first time Zest actually is dropping down his opponent's economy. Like he has a worse economy right now. So SoO might actually start to transition out of it. I think this push is at least temporarily dead. All the Queens have fallen, 7 more Templar get warped in, and what does SoO decide? SoO just keeps going. This has been the push of a lifetime by SoO. Just keeps pushing, keeps pushing. We have a NYDUS into the main base. Zest, come on, Zest, respond. We need some Zealots in here. There is a Prism as well, yeah. Two Immortals get loaded up. I mean, they should be capable of clearing this in time. 2 Immortals kill NYDUS really quickly. I would love to see some drone production. Yeah, there we go. After that failed NYDUS, we now see more drones being produced. A couple more Ravagers to basically take away his gas and see if we can do a little bit more worker damage. I think this is an attack where SoO is going to be happy if he takes down 5-6 more workers. And also, he kind of forces Zest to build more units. We see no worker production whatsoever now. This fight actually is going relatively well for SoO. SoO right now regretting that he built those extra workers instead of the units maybe. Okay, that's... like he will get cleaned up by these charge bolts with +1, a little bit too strong. And we resume worker production once again, but at the end of the day this is a weird game now. Zest was in a very good situation for a long time until he tried to take that 4th base and failed miserably really. Right now he's just kind of far down in workers. He's down 10 workers, he has better upgrades, he has better tech. I give him all of that, but there is a 4th base here with a rich Vespene geyser, which means the moment SoO takes this, that's basically a free 3 drones that he gets. Because usually these drones that will be mining this gas, you know, they can now be mining minerals. The bases of Zest are running out. We see his main and his natural are practically dry. So this is the max capacity that Zest really has in mining. And we see in the income tab that he has only 1700 mineral income against, well, 2500 mineral income. That's not where you want to be as a Protoss. Ideally, he'd also start his +2 upgrade. Storm is getting pooped on by the Overseers. And we do need it +2. I'm actually very curious to see what the SoO is gonna do here. I think the plan of SoO here is alright, as long as I don't see a 4th base, I'm gonna keep building Roaches and hope that Zest attacks into me while I survive on 60-ish drones. And honestly, I don't even mind that plan too much. However, I'd love if there was an Evo chamber with this. Just start your one upgrade. It's not that expensive, and in case Zest does decide to expand, it's very important to get that upgrade, because otherwise you're going to be fighting against a +2 Protoss with 0/0 Zerg units, while the Protoss also has Storm. That's obviously not ideal. As we do see, Prism with 2 Immortals still trying to do some harassment on the other side of the map. So Zest keeping track of his opponent. More Roaches being built here by SoO, who... I mean, the moment he sees this forward base, he's like, well, he needs to make a decision. He's either gonna attack with this pure Roach Ravager army, or he needs to start droning up, and by the looks of it, it's going to be another NYDUS attack. So most likely we'll be trying to hit that forward base. But I feel like at this point Zest could just give up this forward base, kind of stay at 3 bases and be happy with the upgrade he has. Once he hits max supply with the army that he has, with the upgrades that he has, I don't really see an issue for him. We see SoO is trying to be aggressive here, moving forward, but up this ramp seems like an impossible task. There's so many storms. Holy crap, how many Templars this is? 8 Templar. Some of them having double storms as well. This is going to be close to 12 storms, I think, here. As the forward base of Zest does get killed and does cancel it, I think this is a good decision here. I don't mind this. Oh, Templar slightly caught out of position. We'll throw down a couple of storms. First Templar will fall. Storm's not actually that great. +2 isn't done yet either. I mean, yeah. This fight for SoO went a lot better than I thought it would. Without any upgrades. Just pure army supply is actually making something work here. Good storms though coming down out of Zest. Too sure about the blink stalkers, but I understand that you don't want to just give away a lot of supply every time your zealots charge into your opponent. You want to be fighting at a range, making your opponent stay in that storm. 11 workers did go down here for Zest, so a lot of the supply that he lost is from those workers. Zest in this weird position where he might need to max out on 2 bases right now, as his army quality is so good. The problem is just that he has basically no income, so SoO wants to keep on trading at this point. As he's outmining his opponent by about 600-700 minerals a minute. He's outmining him, well, actually not in gas right now, but once he takes this gas, he should, I believe. You see Zest pushing into his opponent. I don't think that's what you want to be doing. Zest needs to be building up a bigger force. Good balls raining down on top of Zest's army, but the +2 upgrades are so big as well. Good pickups here. Out of Zest, storms are gone right now. Charge lots are destroying the flank on the right side. The rest of the army of SoO also gets destroyed. So I said SoO wants to be trading, but SoO wants to be trading semi-evenly. This fight was a complete slaughter. You see SoO falling very far behind in the units lost step as well. APM very high by both of these guys. SoO, of course, a very, very fast player. Now, we see a Baneling Nest on the way. I don't mind this by SoO, but there's still no upgrade. This is why I said, just get at least a +1 range upgrade, you know, at least a little bit. So all of these fights, they just go a little bit better, and it doesn't cost that much. Like, it's almost always worth it, especially in the situation he was in. Right now it's going to be rough, though. We're in a situation where Zest has a way higher quality of army. Is there a Prism with this? Yes, well, Prism in the main, I don't mind the Prism in the main, but I do mind it if he's going to attack with this. He should always be attacking together with a Prism, not separate. But I do like the harass. I mean, he kills 10 workers. On the other hand, we have long distance mining probe will fall well against this Ling run by. This is why SoO is such a good player. In the heat of the moment, it's very difficult when you're being pushed to do a run by like this, because you feel like you need all the units to defend. But a lot of the time, these kind of run-bys actually save you. You do a lot of damage, you force some warp-ins at home, maybe even force a recall. She has spoken forward with all of his stalkers, or not all of his stalkers. Well, I lied. He actually only has 7 stalkers left, so it is all of his stalkers. There is a couple of Templar left, 3 Templar with, well, 1 storm each at this point. Archon drop is flying around. 31 workers left for Zest, who will be rebuilding his 4th base right now. We'll be trying to go for that. These Archons will get a lot of value. Every time they kill a Ling, every time, even against Roaches with +2, you're going to be doing pretty decent as well. Look at that. 5 shotting Queens. Ooh, lose an Archon though. Very sloppy play here by Zest. That is extremely sloppy. Usually you need 6 shots for a Queen, but once you get +1, you only need 5 though. This Dangerous territories, as you're lucky there's no queen here. If there was a queen here, he might have just lost his arc control, playing very risky StarCraft right here. But he does need to do something, so I can kind of see it. Queen is trying to catch up. I will not be able to get it, right? Seems unlikely, unless Zest... Oh, Zest. Flies in, loses the prison, loses the arc control. Very sloppy player out of Zest, who still has the superior army quality. Once again, he has quality, not quantity. I mean, he's down... What is it? Almost 80 army supply here. Doesn't manage to take out that NYDUS, but he does have +2. He does have a lot of storms. How many storms do we have? We have 7 Templar, 2 storms on some of these bad boys. I want to say there's around 10 storms here. Means links are practically useless in this army. There's no banelings. It's just mass Roach. But without any real backbone for this army, I feel like if he gets surrounded and jumped upon, he might just die. SoO is looking for an opportunity here. Will find it in the 3rd base. Big salad warp in out of Zest, but there's batteries still here as well, so SoO should be a little bit careful. Good storms raining down from the sky on top of SoO's army. A couple of biles connect with the Templar, but of course you need 2 biles to kill a Templar, so not the biggest of deals, as they will regain their energy. Oh look, he's gonna walk it into the battery. Oh, that's lovely. Actually, he might just leave it here for any kind of run bys. I don't think it was meant to heal, but it was a cool side effect. 2 storms back on this Templar, 1 storm on this Templar, and a little bit of a split army situation here out of SoO. It's funny to see that SoO is double the army supply and is still so careful with attacking. It's just because he has no upgrade. It's been so long. SoO, please just throw down an Evo chamber. It would make the game so much easier for you. He's outmining his opponent by so much. He's floating so much money. I just don't understand why we don't see any Evo chamber. Finally, there we go. While he's maxed, while he's getting his 6th base. Finally see that Evo chamber. At this point I wouldn't even mind seeing a 2nd Evo chamber. I really would not. SoO does need to trade though. He needs to lose Roaches, because he needs to constantly be losing stuff in a semi-okay way. He needs to kill Zealots, he needs to kill Stalkers, he needs to empty out those Templar, and the longer he waits the more storms there's going to be, so he needs to do it at a relatively high speed as well. At this point for Zest, there's actually a little bit of a timer starting on him right now. So we have +1. Yes, 2nd Evo. I love this. This is good stuff. We finally have +1 on the way. And the moment that obviously SoO is getting those upgrades, Zest army is just gonna get worse. Like, the upgrades will help so much. Baneling speed is starting as well. I mean, this is just... SoO can do 2 things. He either can stay alive for the next 3-4 minutes right now, wait for all of his upgrades to finish, or he can start trading units now, spend some of his money basically, and try to keep Zest back that way while he's stacking into better things. This is very good. I like that he has 2 groups, which means that the moment Zest moves out with 1 army, he can either counterattack on the other side, or he can join the 2 armies to fight the smaller army. That's why there's 2 groups, of course. You don't want to be getting stormed in one massive clump. 10 banelings finally on the way, plus, oh, I love this. 2 attack upgrades at the same time, melee and range attack. So yeah, if we see this move out, I wouldn't be surprised for SoO to kind of commit onto 1 army. Not a massive fan of this push-up. Loses a little bit of supply there. Basically what SoO wants right now is just to keep Zest busy. He does not want him to move out for the next fight. Basically until this 1-1 finishes. The moment 1-1 and baneling speed finishes, completely fine. He doesn't care anymore. It's like, alright, if you're on creep we can fight at that point. And I think even with baneling speed, SoO is relatively confident that he can hold. Zest on the other hand, not producing any workers, taking a 5th base right now. I love this. Zest really understands how he needs to win this game, and that's either by a big push, or he's like, I'm just gonna max out. He needs to max out on this army and hope that SoO stays on a ground army. I mean, the moment Broodlord hits the field, this game is completely over as well. There's no real anti-air. There is a couple of Stalkers, but if there's a big pain count, that's not gonna help. Infestation pit is going down. 3 gases being built. Oh wait, this counts as a double gas. So yeah, I mean 2 gases being built, but the double gas. So still only 48 workers for SoO as well. So his income actually isn't all that hot. It's just a lot better than Zest, because Zest is practically mining from 1 base. Well, he is mining from 1 base with the 38 workers. Zest trying to do some damage here with his Stalkers. Stalkers, of course, very difficult to get caught, especially off creep when they have that blink ability. I like the spread here out of Zest. What is his vision like? He has some units over here for vision, for any kind of baneling run bys. It's good vision of the general area of the map here. How many Templar do we have? We have 7 Templar. There's 2 positions in this area. Where's the rest of the Templar? 3 Templar over here. Oh, we have a little bit of a push forward here coming out of SoO. I mean, this should not work. There's just too many storms at the moment. +1. 1-1 actually has finished. We still have a big army here for SoO, so I don't quite understand why he's fighting with 35% of his army against the army that Zest has, because Zest still has better upgrades, and Zest's quality of army is still better. Don't forget that. That's also important to think about. There's no Spire, so no greater Spire can be built yet once this Hive finishes. 2-2 is on the way, so Hive will be mainly, I guess, for adrenal glands. No, Spire does start, but relatively late. Of course, you'd always sync up that Hive and that Spire. A lot of money in the bank here for SoO as well. And Zest, I think, is looking for a window to push now. Like within the next 2-3 minutes, like he needs to fight before 2-2 finishes. But I don't think he realized that we'll be going for +3 instead. There is a couple of Templar here, but these Templar are not ready with Storms. We have a Baneling run by Zest is ready with Stalker. Zest is ready everywhere, but is he ready for the main fight? Yes, he is. He actually is ready everywhere. 160 supply right now for Zest. Gets a couple of good Storms once again on this side army. Banelings do kill a couple of workers, but this is the first time where I'm actually kind of scared for SoO. It's like, hey, your army is really small. Like, you don't have your 2-2 yet. I guess on creep he might be fine fighting, but Zest realizing there's an opportunity here. Templar should be with this army though. He will be he won't be moving on creep. How many Banelings is there right now? There's 22 Banelings. There is 38 Banelings right now, but only 48 workers for SoO, so he needs to be trading actually kind of efficiently. I think he should give up this base, honestly. He should give up this base and he should have counterattacked during this. I don't think he can fight off creep against this army. It's simply not possible. On creep, I think he would be fine, but off creep, especially if he's only coming from one angle, Storm should just be reigning supreme, and so far it looks like it does. How many Storms do we have left? No Storms left, it looks like. 2-1 upgrades for Zest, who is going in for the final push. There's so many Banelings still alive. There's so many Biles raining down on top of this army. Where's the reinforcement for Zest? There's no Prism here. There's no money in the bank. I can't believe SoO managed to win that fight that convincingly. I really thought it would go different. What a fantastic game this has been. Constant aggression from SoO with that Roach NYDUS, but I do believe this is going to be it. There's nothing left here for Zest, and SoO will be marching in. 2-2 is about to finish up. Hive is done. Greater Fire could start any moment as well, but I don't see a way for Zest to win here as the Biles once again raining from the sky on top of those Zealots walking in. Will kill everything, and yeah, this is GG. Gets called. SoO wins against Zest. Unbelievable game. Very, very beautifully played. Now, if you loved that game as much as I did, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leave a thumbs up and leave down in the comment section below what kind of game you want to see next, any kind of specific matchups, any players you want to see, and I'll try to make it work. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you boys in the next video. Bye bye.